In the 1850s, following the discovery of gold, Australia was gripped with gold fever. Gold was everywhere, with discoveries in all Australian colonies. But it was the Victorian gold rush that dominated Australia's and the world's gold output. Mines sprang up throughout Victoria, not just north of booming Melbourne in the Bendigo, Ballarat and Castlemaine regions, but also east of Melbourne, in the Woods Point Walhalla goldfield. The town of Woods Point was established in 1861 with a general store open to service miners flocking to the alluvial and quartz reefs in the booming Upper Goulburn district. The Morning Star Gold Mine, one of Australia's first publicly listed mining sites, was also one of the richest gold mines in Australian history. By 1963, when production had ceased at the Morning Star Gold Mine, it had produced close to 1 million ounces of gold at extremely high grades of 1 ounce per tonne. But with gold prices fixed at $35 per ounce until 1971 and prohibitive power generation costs, it was no longer viable to continue mining. Today the price of gold is over $1,300 per ounce, and market forces indicate strong prices for some time to come. And with a JORC resource of 910,000 ounces, not including any additional resource potential held in the company's extensive tenements, the future is golden.
Hi, I'm Nick Garling, Chairman of Morning Star Gold. Let me show you a little bit about our company. Our tenements, spanning some 200 square kilometres in close proximity to Melbourne, are home to one of the richest goldfields Australia has ever known. Close to 6 million ounces of gold have been produced in this goldfield, and Morning Star has a prime slice of this rich production area. Woods Point was a major focal point of the ongoing Victorian gold rushes that had started closer to Bendigo and Ballarat in the 1850s. They came to these hidden valleys in their thousands to find pay dirt. The number of old workings and mines dotted over Morning Star's 200 square kilometres of tenements are a potent reminder of the area's potential. Morning Star's primary focus is a return to gold production at the prolific Morning Star Gold Mine. Let's take a visit. Starting a project like this, you're thinking, is there gold there? How will we get it out economically? Where will the investment dollars come from? In the beginning, I was concerned, would there be any gold left in the old girl? Why would the old timers leave anything for us? Well, that's the million-dollar question. The first thing you notice is the topography, which is one of the reasons historically many of the mines were not exploited to their full potential. The hilly terrain hindered the delivery of heavy steam-driven mining machinery, which was necessary prior to the mine's connection to the state power grid in the 1950s. We erected the head frame in 1994, shortly after we purchased the mining lease at Morning Star. But that was just a start. To start with, the mine shaft of 815 metres depth had to be re-accessed, dewatered and refurbished before we could access the old workings within the mine and assess the mine's potential in terms of in-situ gold resources. Over 3 kilometres of old workings within the Morning Star had to be recommissioned and made safe before exploration could even begin. Take the Burns Zone, for example, at approximately 165 metres depth. Burns is one of the mine's richest historic reefs, where records show 55 grams per tonne were mined in the past. 60 reconnaissance samples from the edge of the Burns stope returned an average of 78.4 grams a tonne, proving that economic levels of gold are available for us to mine immediately. Notwithstanding the Morning Star Gold Mine's outstanding production history, ranking it with the most famous producers in Australia's rich gold history, we're here to focus on the mine's future. For example, diamond drilling in 2008 discovered a rich, high-grade reef known as Maxwell's, located between levels 8 and 9 of the mine. This reef was never previously discovered. Grab sampling of Maxwell's development has identified a high-grade ore zone that is at least 40 metres in length and averages around 27 grams per tonne from 44 reef samples to date. This discovery reinforces the potential of unmined reefs within the mine, especially within the Gap Zone, which is the unmined and minimally explored area beneath Whitelaws Reef and down to level 15 of the mine. This Gap Zone of some 66 million tonnes of host rocks exists below the current zones of focus. Currently, the water level of the mine is held just below level 10 at 310 metres depth. Plans are afoot to continue dewatering and redeveloping the mine to access the gap zone and beyond. It's crucial to understand that the stope levels of the Morning Star mine yielded over 2,000 ounces of gold per vertical metre. And in the gap zone there's an unexplored and unmined section of the mine over 200 metres in vertical depth. It's a tantalising prospect. Historically, the reefs below level 15 were the richest in the mine. They were largely exploited by Western Mining in the years when the Morning Star was Australia's premier gold mine. Encouragingly for us, there are several mineralised drilling intercepts below the current zones of focus, indicating reefs yet to be discovered. After 18 years of hard work and changing economics, the project's now reaching its most exciting stage. We're in gold production. Quartz reefs at the Morning Star Gold Mine are very rich with coarse gold. Luckily for us, the gold is free milling, with metallurgical tests indicating around 90% recovery via simple gravity milling. As you can see, today's technology not only helps us to locate, but also effectively extract the gold. The coarse gold in the Woods Point area is recoverable via gravity processing. Through crushing and water pressure, around 90% of our gold is recoverable in less than 10% of the overall mass processed. A gravity processing plant is designed to recover high levels of free gold without the need to use any chemicals. This makes us clean, green and ecologically relevant to our pristine surroundings.
The new gravity treatment plant at the Morning Star mine is designed with the environment in mind. The only byproduct of the process is a coarse sandy tail which is dewatered, put through an arsenic treatment plant and then deposited into old stopes in the mine again. It's a very elegant environmental solution.
Another important part of our approach at Morning Star is sustainability. This involves our place within the local community in and around Woods Point, our social and economic obligations and our interface with the traditional owners of this land. Whether producing gold or supporting the local community, our challenge is to be a responsible community member and account for everyone's interests.
Precious metals are hugely important because they represent a hedge, if you like, to the risks associated with other industries. Gold in particular represents more than 10% of our mining exports, so it's hugely important. It's also very strategic. Gold has been there as a reliable, trustworthy and rewarding export at times when other exports haven't been so reliable. The consistency of our production and the quality of our gold production cuts to the very core of our economic prosperity and the reliability of our economic prosperity.
Well, since the mine's opened, I think we've got up about 50-60%. Before that we only had the tourism, we only had weekends, but now we've got midweek and we're just about booked out all the time with the mine.
And I think this is where the Morning Star did a hell of a lot of good for the town at that time. They brought power to the town, was about $60,000, which is a hell of a lot of money at that time. Built my place. Matter of fact, when they sold it at the auction, they called it the hall or a shed. I think it's a little bit better than that. But they built a lot of the places in the town, rebuilt a lot of it after the fires, and I think that's why Woods Point's still around a bit today.
Up to date, they've been doing everything right. They're protecting the water, protecting all the countryside. They've got a lot of respect for the environment.
As long as the mines are operating, and not just in particular this mine, but all mining continues here, the town's got a big future. It brings more people into the town, and they may not stay all the time, they may go home on weekends, but it brings people in during the day. People see that, and more people want to come here then. Tourists want to come here, and that can only be good for the town as well.
Well, one of the main things that most people don't realise, most gold mines very rarely have visible gold in them, and so basically you're just working from numbers. Whereas the Morning Star mine, because it's a coarse grain nuggety gold mine, has quite a lot of visible gold in it, and you actually get to see what you're looking to mine, and it gives you a lot more focus on where you should be working and what areas to be looking in. And the fact that you can actually see the gold actually makes it a lot easier to get passionate about it and have something to work with.
What makes Morning Star very, very attractive to me from an investment point of view is that, one, they have a high-grade mine that has a lot of potential in there in Maxwell and Kenny's, and if they're developing now. But the larger opportunity is initially going to be seen in what they're doing with the Chinese joint venture, which is essentially looking at some, I think it's 6 older historically productive mines and trying to see whether or not they can put them back into production. Now, to me, the wonderful thing about the Morningstar tenements is that they have literally dozens, I think it's 50 or 60 of these historic mine sites. Now, what happened, the Woods Point is so far hell and gone that a lot of people came up and found alluvial gold, and a lot of people came up and found quartz gold. But what happened was that they were so undercapitalized, and the logistics in particular were such a nightmare bringing in everything they needed and getting everything out, that what happened was that they either stopped mining when they ran out of the weathered zone where the mining was easy, or maybe they got through the weathered zone and they hit the water table, and suddenly they had to contend with that also. So now you've got harder rock and you've got the water table going on at the same time. So it turns out for the whole Jameson Walhalla synclinorium, there are only 3 operations that went below both the weathered zone and the water table. Obviously, Cohen's was one, and A1 was the other, and Morningstar was the 3rd one. Now, Morningstar, in buying up all these old claims, doesn't have to do a lot of exploration in the sense that it's greenfield. We know there was gold there. They produce gold from there. So what they're really doing is they're going to be able to say, okay, well, let's just see what happens below the weathered zone on these dikes and reefs. Let's see what's below the weathered zone. Let's see what's below the water table. And I think they're going to find a lot because they already know there's some there, and very little of it's just going to happen on the surface. It's all coming up from below.
It looks like Morningstar is mining a golden future.